It's hot. It is really hot. One of the things that I love though is see because this is the recording studio, so this is like a secluded room. It's all airtight. There's no windows. There's no nothing, so it's nice and cool in here. And I am still a sweaty bugger, man. Honestly, it's really bad. However, we are getting like the usual scare tactics. Neil Oliver blasts nanny state warnings over UK heatwave as insidious and borderline sinister. Governments no longer think we are capable of making our own decisions about our health and well-being. Blast the fuming broadcasters. He demands the right to stroll around the park bareheaded. I mean, you can do that if you want to do that. That is completely up to you. I am a libertarian after all. It would just be a little bit silly, especially with my head. You ever had sunburn on your scalp? It's a bad time. Scots author and broadcaster Neil Oliver has taken aim at the fear-mongering over record-breaking temperatures expected across Britain over the next couple of days. The Met Office is predicting 40°C temperatures, which it did hit today, at least in London, for the first time ever in the UK, and the first ever red heat warning has been issued for England on Monday and Tuesday. Scots have been given an amber heat warning with the mercury tipped to rise above 30 degrees centigrade, which it did yesterday, and First Minister Nicola Sturgeon is urging people to stay out of direct sun. I mean, I could have told you that. I could have told you that. This is all common sense. However, Oliver is among those pointing out that the Met Office extreme heat warnings were only introduced in June 2021, so it is perhaps no surprise that these are among the first ever issued, which makes sense, because, oh, the first ever warning since the warning started a year ago. Uh, in his weekly Sunday Times column, the Scot, who shot to fame as the presenter of BBC's much-loved Coast series and now works for GB News, was scathing about the current hysteria. While acknowledging that the unwary might come to grief in hot weather and urging readers not to leave babies or dogs in hot cars. I mean, that's just general common sense. You just don't do that. He insists that no amount of warnings is likely to affect the behaviour of the congenitally stupid. Yet there are going to be some, like, one thing is, like, an idiot like me, because I was out in the garden, I was tending to my potatoes, my tomatoes, my strawberries, my peas, and my turnips. My turnips are doing well, thank you very much for asking. And I got burnt on my shoulders. And it's turned into a bit of a tan now, but I've got the dry skin now. Because I was stupid, I went outside, I didn't put on sun cream and all that. So that's what happened. However, I'm not going to go outside with no water and no shade for 6 hours or something like that. That's when you're asking for trouble. I was going to go fishing this week. I had it planned for a good few weeks. I've cancelled it all because of this heat wave. I'm not sitting out in the sun for like 12 hours, which is the smart thing to do. Drink plenty of water and make sure to get in the shade. If you're going anywhere, even if it's just getting a train into town or something like that, bring a lot of fluid with you. Stay hydrated. Right, Oliver goes on, across Scotland in the summertime of my childhood, the cry was taps off. Taps off. Fine weather then was a chance for leery tabloid snappers to get pretty girls in bikinis to pose in the barely tepid surf of British beaches. Now it's an excuse for yet more fear-mongering, stay indoors and shut your curtains, the sun's out. It's wearing and patronising, it's also insidious and borderline sinister. Apart from anything else, there's the implication haunting so much of life now that we, the people, should not for 1 minute think we are capable of making our own decisions about our health and well-being. More and more we are to be frightened out of our wits, fearful of this virus or that, of one another, of the very seasons of the year. And yes, this is the hottest year on record since records began. However, everyone's like, this is global warming. But if you go on to the Met Office's website, I would advise you go on it now before they change it. We have had temperatures like this in the past. Not as high, but it's like only a difference of about like 2-3 degrees. And some of them were back in the 70s as well. So, yeah. So it's global warming. It's not, though. I demand the right to take my chances. If I feel like strolling around the park bareheaded with my sleeves rolled up, then damn the fear. Those are foolhardy chances I'm prepared to take. I'm not. I'm gonna make sure I'm in shade and stuff like that. If people want to do that, though, then whatever. You do whatever the hell you want. It's just you're going to be in for a bad time. Oliver is also known for his sceptical views about the overbearing approach to the COVID pandemic adopted by the Scottish, UK and other world governments. He adds, government and the powers that and the powers that be, having already nudged, slithered, and forced themselves by law into almost every aspect of our daily lives. I completely agree. We must also listen to round-the-clock warnings that it sometimes gets warm in the summer. On his Twitter account, he retweeted posts about the weather, including one with the famous "worth waiting for" scene from Ice Cold and Alex. He also retweeted a post from journalist Toby Young, who said that 67 times as many people died from the cold as from the heat in England and Wales from 2000 to 2019. Which, yeah, that would be correct. And we are getting this thing. Have you ever noticed that the mainstream news is just fear? They're a fear factory. Like that is what they are. Constantly, oh, the virus, oh, the war with Russia, oh, the pandemic, oh, inflation, oh, the housing crisis, blah 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 blah. It's fear. It's fear over and over and over again. It's just the press constantly reminding everyone your life is going to be terrible. Things are going to be so bad. I'm reaching the point where I just want to homestead in the middle of nowhere and completely. I just want to go full Amish, just shun all electronic devices, just completely tune out of the mainstream media, which I am starting to do. I'm doing this whole like mental health thing where I'm not going to watch the news as much because I'll say it right now. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a psychologist, but I can say with a certain degree of certainty that watching the news is bad for your mental health. It's bad for your mental health. They're just going to be, it's just fear, doom, and gloom all the fucking time from them. Right? It's just some of them will worse out you. Oh, you're probably going to lose your job. Oh, the vaccine. Oh, the fucking 15 million, 3 million, 100,000 million people died this morning. Bah, there was a fucking earthquake. Here's some footage of a child's arm amongst the rubble. Like, fucking that shit, man. Nobody wants to see that stuff, right? Yeah, okay, the world is a horrible and scary place, but nobody wants to see that garbage. Nobody wants to see that fucking stuff. But the problem is that is all the fucking media put in front of you. They just make you scared and sad. And I think that's their job at this point. They just want to make you scared and sad. I mean, it's a nice little distraction. It's a nice little distraction from the stuff they don't want you to be to be looking at. But all of this stuff, like, yeah, it gets hot in the summer. Yeah, the temperatures are rising. However, we have had similar temperatures in the past, right? Things get hot, things get warm. Even here in Scotland, by the way, I'm sweltering just sitting here. I can even see myself in the camera. I've got a nice sheen, got a nice little sheen to my face. You know, I'm looking a little bit peely-wally. But just do the sensible things, right? Stay hydrated. Don't stay out in the sun too long. If you've got children, create shaded areas where they can play. We've got a little tent thing that we have in the back garden for Sadie and everything, and we also have a little paddling pool out and everything, which she fucking loves, by the way. She fucking loves a little paddling pool. But yeah, it's just sensible stuff. You know, don't leave dogs in hot cars and all that type of stuff as well. I mean, if you can, like, also be careful about things like the steering wheel. And another thing, this is an important one. So many injuries get caused by this every year. If you are going to use the garden hose, right, aim the hose away at some corner where nobody is, turn it on, and then let the tap run for a little while. Don't just aim the hose and then turn it on and point it at whatever you're pointing it at, you know, like your friend or whatever, because all of that water that's in the pipe that's been lying at the sun, that's going to be near boiling. That's going to be near boiling the water that is in the pipe. And then you fire it at someone and you scald them. Or you put it on your plants and you essentially just cook your plants. Right, so that's another little bit of advice. Aim your hose away at something where, you know, just aim it away from anything, right? And then turn it on and let the water run for a little bit. You know, avoid injuries. Be smart and stay hydrated.